Hey guys, in this video I'm going to be going over my personal experience with the launch and the first day of Season of Discovery. However, before we get into it, I'd just like to mention that I have my own gold making guide for Season of Discovery. This will help you learn the best ways to make gold with Season of Discovery from all the best professions, classes, add-ons, gold farms, absolutely everything, you name it. It's only $10 and it'll be the first link down below in the description box. However, let's get right into this video. So for me, I had a very smooth launch. I didn't have to wait any queue times. I'm on the RP PvP realm, which is called, I think it's called Crusader Strike, and it is on the NA region. So I got in pretty early and I was lucky enough to get my name, and also didn't have to sit any of the queues whatsoever. There was zero waiting time. Didn't get disconnected at all throughout the full day of playing. It's super late at night, so I am very tired. After this video, we'll definitely be going to sleep and then going again tomorrow. But the launch was very smooth. There was no complaints whatsoever. There was a tiny bit of lag in like the first 5 minutes or so, but after that everything was smooth. There was no lag and everything went really well. Now I decided to play a Mage because I like Mage in normal classic WoW, and with all the new runes it's going to make it extremely exciting for mages and a lot of other classes, but for me personally, Mage stand out the most, so that is what I went with, a gnome Mage. And now my main goal with Season of Discovery is to obviously do all the raids and experience everything, and also do a lot of gold making. But in the first day, my main goal in the first maybe 2 days is going to be reaching around level 20 before I actually start making gold and farming gold, just because we'll be at the highest level, because the level cap is level 25. If you are playing Season of Discovery yourself, then you would know that, and there would just be a lot better ways to make gold once you are like level 20 plus, especially once you're level 25 and you've got some decent gear from the new raid and things like that. So my main focus right now is to get as high level as possible in the next like day or two, try to hit level 25 as quick as possible, and then focus on other things. So the runes were extremely cool. There was many different ways to actually come across and get the runes. I managed to get a decent amount. I think I got like 7 different ones by the end of the day. Some of them are really good, and the AoE Mage build is going to be absolutely crazy. Now when I was leveling, I had a good experience with like people would group up, everyone was super kind and friendly and wanted to play together, so that was super good. Mob tagging as a mage was pretty easy, especially once we got some of our instant casts, like we got Ice Lance, and that made it super easy to actually get tags when there was so much competition. So it made it very easy. So as you can see just there, we got level 5, and we actually went pretty quick at leveling. We had a little break throughout the day to get some lunch and whatnot, but we ended up with about, I think we did like maybe 16 hours of game time or something like that, and we ended up at a pretty good decent level for that amount of time. We focused on some of the professions and things like that also. So right now what we're doing is just cruising around. We still haven't got a rune yet. I didn't know actually how to get any of the runes until a couple of my mates told me where some were, and we worked out some spots and things to actually look for, because I had no idea what you're actually looking for. So by now we could have had Ice Lance already. It was actually in the beginner zone, and I actually went straight past the crate that actually gives it. So after I do a couple of these quests, I think I went back and actually got Ice Lance from the starter zone once I was a bit higher level, and I'll be showing that in a little bit. But as you can see, there is heaps of people running around at this time when I was about level 5, so the mob tagging was pretty competitive. But what I managed to do was just take off my staff, set up a macro that basically auto like hit, like punch the mobs so I could get the tag. Now that's a lot quicker than just using the staff, and I found that to be very useful. So there's level 6 that we just got now. Now we still haven't got any of the runes yet. This is where, well, around about this time that I realized it's back in the starting zone, the very first rune that I can get, which is Ice Lance. So these things were pretty cool too, the crates, and ended up doing a few of the crates. So this is here, one of my mates actually told me where to actually get the Ice Lance rune, and it's inside this crate right here. I think you had to finish like a quest from the Mage trainer and then come here, and as you can see, we got our hands on our very first rune, but we actually vended our gloves. So we had to go find a vendor that was selling some gloves. As you can see right here, we got some gloves, and then we threw on our first rune, which was Ice Lance. Now this made tagging mobs extremely easy, and it done a lot of damage at the early levels. As you can see, you can pretty much just use just Ice Lance and you could kill the mobs very, very quickly. So this really helped out with the leveling. And as you can see, what level did we just get now? I think we just got level 8 then. So the first like 8 levels went really, really quick. We got that in like, I think like a couple of hours, or maybe like an hour or two, hour and a half. So it was very, very quick. And now at this point, we were keeping our eyes out and all looking for different runes. And we came across a few more a bit later on. Now some of the quests were pretty, I'm going to be honest, some of them were annoying with the amount of people that were out there, especially like the mobs, the quests where you actually had to farm things where you had to like loot items. So like it was already hard enough to tag the mobs, but then you had to get lucky enough to actually get your hands on the item that you were farming for. So that was a bit tricky with the amount of people, but you managed to get through it and tag a few mobs and get a few of the quest items along the way. So at this point, I think we're coming up to level 9. I think we were. And now we're cruising through all of the quests. They were super, super quick, super easy to do. I don't know what we're doing here though. Messing around. For some reason, I don't even think you hand in the quest to this guy. But anyways, we started to learn a few more of the talents, which was really good. As you can see, we started off, when we actually were speccing out, we started off as a Frost Mage. But then I realized that fire was the way to go. You can do a lot more damage at the lower levels. And talking about levels, we actually just got level 9 right there. And also we got our second rune, which was Burnout. And this gives an extra 15% chance of critting on all of your spells, which doesn't sound like much, but it really, really is a lot. And this is how you actually got your hands on it. You had to have a group of people and all use fire spells on this mob right here, the Frozen Trog. And once you did enough like fire spells, I think it had to have like 4 different fire debuffs on it. It would break the ice, and then you could start doing damage to it. Once you killed it, you'll just loot the rune straight from that guy. This right here is where we got level 10, and I think we were about like 4 hours in right now. So we definitely weren't the quickest, but we were up ahead of the curve, so it made it a lot easier. So we decided to get some of our professions. Now I went with tailoring and enchanting, just because the tailoring on the first day, we ended up doing a bit of it too. With the leather bags, crafting the bags was a decent way to make some money. We also wanted to make sure that we picked up fishing, because in later phases, well, not even later phases, once we are like level 25, there's a few good fishing farms that you can make a lot of gold from very easily. So we wanted to make sure that we kept up with our fishing level. So by the time we got a bit higher level, our fishing skill would also be up to date where we want it to be to start doing some of the farms. So right here, if we manage to kill this mob, this is where we'll be getting level 11. So this would have been like 5 hours in, I guess, looking at the clock. And as you can see, we started off with frost, but later on we actually changed to fire, because it does a bit more damage at these lower levels. And with some of the runes that we end up getting, fire just worked really, really well with some of the runes. Now as you can see, we're cruising through the quest at the moment. I think we're going on to be level 12 after we kill a couple more mobs. Oh, we already did just then. So that right there was level 12. And now this would have been like 6 hours in, 6-7 hours in to the journey. And we're at level 12, so we're super stoked with that. And this is where we're kind of looking out for runes at a couple mates that also were playing Mage. and whenever we found a rune, would let like the location or the way to actually get it would let each other know, and that was really good. We also cleared Hogger at around this level 2, and we actually just dinged to level 13. And we still hadn't done much gold making. This is where we started to actually use our tailoring, and what we did to actually make a bit of gold. Oh, speaking of runes, we actually got our next one just there, which was the Fingers of Frost. Now that one sounded good, but it only really worked good with Ice Lance. If you're not doing it, like if you didn't run like an Ice Lance spec, that rune wasn't that well. So right here, what we were doing is getting 45 skill in tailoring, so we could actually make linen bags. Now the linen bags were selling for about 4 to 5 silver in trade chat, but you could get a bit more for them, even over like 5 silver for them on the auction house. Even though people can actually buy bags that have 6 slots from a vendor for only 5 silver, I still managed to sell a few of them for like 5 to 6 silver in between there, which was really, really nice. So that is what we're focusing on now. We're going to make a bunch of the linen bags. Now I tried selling them in trade chat, but I found it to be a lot easier if we just sold them straight on the auction house. Then we could continue going out and leveling. Now this is where I probably should have used my second account, and I could have also been spamming in the trade chat on my second account to actually sell the bags, but I didn't go down that route. I was too excited about leveling up and getting back out and getting the experience. So what I did is I threw them all up in the auction house, the ones we just made then, for about 5 silver and 20 copper each, and I actually brought some more linen cloth off the auction house. It was a pretty cheap price, considering how much you could actually get for the linen bags. So this was the little method that I used just to make a decent amount of gold. Well, not even a decent amount, just a little bit of gold to pay for all the skills and any upgrades that I needed for like weapons and stuff. So this was the way of making a bit of gold. As you can see, we sold a few of them just here for 5 silver and 19 copper. Now after that, I went down to Elden Forest because one of my mates said that you could get another rune down here. There was a bunch of the critters, and what you could do is you could poly them, so polymorph them, and what they would do is they would give you that scroll thing. You need 6 of these scrolls. So I did that and got that one, and then as you can see, I farmed out 2 more different runes right here. And now these ones are super overpowered. Living Bomb is absolutely insane, especially if you're into AoE grinding, which I ended up doing a bit on at the end of the day, and we actually worked really, really well. But not right there, but later on in the end of this video, you'll be able to see some of the AoE pulls that I did at like level 14, which worked out really, really well. So we just hit level 14 there, and this was the last level that I got in the first day and the first session that I did. So right here, we picked up the first healing rune for mages, so the regeneration. Now this rune ended up being really, really powerful, and I think it's going to work extremely good with Arcane Explosion and doing like big AoE pulls, because it actually heals a decent amount. And if you also have Living Bomb up on the targets, and then you spam Arcane Explosion, like I'm about to do right here, you can actually heal yourself up to full while you're killing the mobs, and it does a lot of damage. So this is the way I think I'm going to level for the next day to get to level 25, is by doing AoE grinding, basically just farming a whole heap of mobs, doing big pulls just like this. So putting Living Bomb on all of them, then make sure that the regen spell is on you, so whenever you use Arcane Explosion, it actually heals you. And I found this to be the best way, better than even using like Blizzard. Obviously I'm too low level to even use Blizzard yet, but like from Classic, this just feels absolutely insane. When the Living Bomb explodes, it does so much damage to the mobs. It's actually insane. And on top of that, your Arcane Explosion is obviously healing you if you're running the new rune for regeneration. So how it works, it actually gives you like that little buff. See up in my buff thing, and whenever you use an arcane spell, it actually heals you back, so it's super powerful. And now this was at the end of the day. I decided to sell a few things on the auction house that I had in my bags, and then also disenchant a few items. But the main thing that I'm excited for is by using these new runes and doing AoE like grinding and AoE farming, it's going to make it so much more interesting, and you can actually pull some big mobs and get some really good experience, and also you'll be able to do some really crazy gold farms, doing big AoE pulls and using the new runes to do a lot of damage and also heal yourself at the same time. However, that was it for my first day experience with the Season of Discovery. Super good, and I'm having heaps of fun actually doing it. I'll see you in the next one.